Well, good evening. Welcome to this live event on Teams. Welcome, parents, and indeed, no doubt, a few Year 6 children as well. I'm really pleased that I was going to say that you're here. I'm not really sat outside Comberton Village College, and you're not really here either, but you are joining me live. So thank you very much. My name is Peter Law. I'm principal here at Comberton Village College. And over the next 25 or 30 minutes, we're going to tell you a few things about our iPad for Learning scheme. It's not just me. In fact, I'm probably a person saying less rather than one or two others. So joining me in a minute will be Regina Lawrence. Regina is deputy principal here and is in charge of teaching and learning, amongst other things. And she's going to talk through some of the principles of why we're using iPads for learning, and why that's really going to be a very helpful thing. And then Jamie Freeman will take over from her, and Mr. Freeman's going to talk about some of the nitty-gritty. So how does the scheme work? How much does it cost? And other really important things that folk will want to know. Behind the scenes is Sean Sumner. Sean Sumner you won't see on screen. Sean is the Trust Director of IT. So Comberton Village College is part of the CAM Academy Trust. There are 4 secondaries working very closely together and a number of primaries. And Mr. Sumner has been in charge of developing IT and IT strategy. In fact, he originally was a senior teacher here at Comberton Village College and moved on to be deputy at Camberwell Village College, and has been fundamental in how this scheme has been introduced across a number of schools, and we're now involved in introducing it. It's slightly back to front that I'm having one of my first meetings with parents of Year 6 talking about a particular thing rather than some general introductions. I'm sure there's a lot of questions and lots of things you want to know about what it's like to be a pupil in Year 7 and how we look after your sons and daughters. And we've got events planned for all of that. So later on in the summer, there will be an induction day for the Year 6s. I'm very much hoping that's in real life. It might be virtual, yes. Obviously, the rules of how schools are operating changes fairly regularly at the moment. So we'll see how that goes. And we're planning for both a virtual event and a real life event, and we'll do what we can. And similarly, there will be a parents' evening. So it might be like this on a screen. Hopefully it won't. Hopefully it will be in person. You'll be able to join us at the school in the performance hall. But either way, there will be plenty of things that we will be saying about the induction into Comberton Village College. And we will say those things later on this term. But now I'm going to say a few things about the iPads for Learning. So if you can have the next screen, please. Thank you very much. And we're really clear, these are iPads for learning. Many of you will have iPads or will have used iPads before and will know what they're like, and they are iPads. It's a regular iPad device. It's nothing that you can buy in a shop in some measures, but we're really clear this is a device for learning. And although it is an iPad, and you'll be familiar with that, it is different into how the devices are managed and how they are used. So, for example, one very specific thing is the school will manage each device, and there will be software installed so that each teacher can literally take over the device in the classroom and can put things on the screen, can take things off of a child's screen and project it and use it as a teaching tool, and do things that you wouldn't do with a standard iPad if it was just something that the child brought into the classroom. We've been planning on introducing the scheme actually for many years. It has been years in the planning across the trust. We've had devices that we've done trials with pupils. In fact, nearly 2 years ago we did that. And so it's been something we've worked towards, and obviously the pandemic has had a bit of an impact on what we've been doing over recent years. But it's also been quite a significant thing in terms of us developing our use of IoT. And we've had a launch event a little bit like this for Year 7 and Year 8 students, and they will be getting their devices later on in this term so that we're ready to go with them in September. And similarly, our plan is that Year 7s, new Year 7, so current Year 6, will have iPads for learning in September. So all of the students in Year 7, 8 and 9 would all have an individual iPad. Next slide, please. And the reason I think for this can just be summed up with our headline, Excellence for All. As a school, we believe in excellence for all. We believe in fantastic teaching and learning. We think children should have great breadth of their education. They should have great depth of their education. And we've absolutely seen that the use of IT during the pandemic has been a step change in terms of what we've been able to do. We gave, all teachers have had laptops for very many years and used them in their lessons. We gave all teachers in the school iPads. prior to the most recent lockdown. In fact, we didn't know the lockdown was coming, but we gave them in December as part of our plan to move towards children having these devices, and we wanted staff to be very well trained, competent with these devices and able to do things. Then we had the lockdown earlier this year, and the ability to teach with an iPad was significantly different to what we could have done without. And we've seen in Camborne Village College, where children already have iPads, how that's impacted really positively on their learning. So having an iPad won't change what goes on in some respects. Fundamentally, good teaching and learning is about all sorts of things, and it's not really about the tools you use or the devices, but it will enable us to do things that we can't currently do. Next slide, please. And so I think that in the modern world, having devices just part of regular life. I'm sure many children have devices already, and I'm sure adults will also do so. And using this as part of regular life, as teachers and educators, we're absolutely committed to preparing children for everyday life, and learning how to use devices and manage devices for learning is really important. We will still have children running and sitting and walking and drawing and making things and acting and doing all of those active things in classes that would happen when you don't have digital devices in front of you. Children will still be writing, but we've seen the iPad is a tool that's enabled us to do things that we've just not been able to do before since we've introduced them in school. We've had teachers, music teachers, explaining how they use it as a portable keyboard, and they can walk around the classroom with their iPad using it as a keyboard and showing children what to do with that. Projecting pieces of work. We've had PE teachers videoing children out on the sports field so that they can then show them back what they're doing in sports. We've had maths teachers projecting work that children have done and using it as an interactive projection tool. So I'm really excited about the fact that there's so much that we can do that previously hasn't been possible, and that's really fundamentally why we're moving forwards with iPads for learning, because it is a device that's going to enable children to learn even better than has been the case over recent years at Camborne Village College. So I'm now going to hand over to Mrs. Lawrence, who's going to talk through a few more of the principles behind this and how the experience has gone at Camborne Village College.
Good evening, ladies. As Mr. said, my name is Regina. I'm Deputy Principal here at Camborne Village College, and I'm responsible for teaching and learning. And teaching and learning is my passion, and I'm going to be working with your child's teachers and with Mrs. Roberts, your child's head of year, to ensure that we give your child the best education, the best opportunities possible. And part of that is going to involve this new technologies. So firstly, why iPads? Why have we gone for iPads? Well, the first thing to say is this has been researched over a number of years. We've had various trials across the Cam Academy Trust in several secondary academies, and the iPad proved to be the most suitable in a number of areas. The battery life is long, which is really important as your child will be using it during the school day. Not constantly, clearly, as Mr. Law has explained. It's lightweight, it's portable, and that's really important for your child to carry to and from school. There's a really stable and reliable system that we're going to be able to use in order to access and make that work effectively for your child. And with that come the range of Microsoft Office apps that we will be able to access. The sensors and the camera, the additional features that will be of use within the classroom too, and vitally the school management system that comes with the insurance, with the warranty, to support all the additional features that we need in terms of running that effectively for your child within the classroom. As Mr. Law said, this trust initiative has been in place now for a number of years at Camborne Village College, and hopefully these images will give you a flavour of how the iPads are supporting the learning. You can see the iPads being used to support reading, to support literacy, to support in individual subject areas, for example music or mathematics, to record a practical experiment, and many more. Hopefully that gives you a little flavour of how we'll be able to use the iPads to support learning. We are hoping to build on the fantastic developments that we've made in terms of teaching and learning this year. The national situation has forced the issue a little bit with the technology in all schools across the country, and we have used that to great effect to enhance the learning at Compton Village College. We have something called the catalogue, which is like an online filing cabinet, like a library, where pupils can access all their learning at any time. And once they have iPads, they will be able to access this more readily. Each pupil is a member of a class team, and within that there is a class notebook which we've been using to great effect, and we'll be able to build on this, and your child will be able to use this to upload work, to access work, to do a variety of learning tasks. In terms of what kinds of activities we might use the iPads for, there's something called the SAMR model, which is being used effectively at Camborne Village College and in many areas, which shows you how the technology can enhance the learning. Firstly, it can be used as a substitute, a direct substitute with no change whatsoever. Secondly, it can be used as a substitute, but with some kind of improvement, some enhancement. Thirdly, it can be used to modify, and that's where the technology can redesign a task and can be useful to make the learning even better. And finally, it can be used to redefine the task completely. So it's not a case of changing our excellent teaching and learning. It's a case of we might substitute, we might change things, we might redefine things. So we'll be using that model to enhance what we do in the different subject areas for your child. I thought you might be interested to see some of the feedback from the staff, parents and pupils at Camborne Village College. Clearly, they've been using the iPads for a number of years, and some of the feedback from them shows the staff have said that pupils collaborated more in lessons. It helped develop their independence, their independent thinking, and it allowed those resources to be delivered more easily. So in terms of the staff feedback, it was overwhelmingly positive. And the parents too reported that their child felt more engaged in the lessons. It gave their child more opportunities to research than before, clearly, and that's probably the one that we might, as novices, home in on, the opportunity to research. That's not everything. It also changed their child's attitude towards learning in a very positive way. As for the pupils, interestingly, many of the pupils said that using their iPad made them feel confident and made them participate more and work with each other in groups. And that might actually be contrasting to what we might have thought if we were thinking that pupils might use iPads for independent work only, for example. Actually, it's the contrary, and pupils use the iPads to work more. So we're really excited about these possibilities that it's going to lend to the pupils. And finally, pupils said that it really helped them to achieve their homework. And as you can see, 93%, almost all the pupils said that that really is the case. It helped them to become more organised as well. So as you can see, the feedback from Camborne Village College is overwhelmingly positive, and we're looking forward to moving forward with that. So I'm going to hand you over to Mr. Freeman, who's going to talk a little bit more in detail. Bear with me a second or two while I ensure that Mr. Freeman is queued up to speak.
So good evening, everyone. As Mr. Law has said, I'm going to talk through some of the practicalities of the scheme, and I wanted to start off with some principles. So as you've already heard, this scheme works on a voluntary contribution model. Without sufficient parental support, it won't be possible for us to go ahead, and so we really do need your support. We believe that our scheme is able to deliver on the following three objectives. So firstly, fairness. We want all pupils to benefit from the iPads, regardless of financial circumstances. We hope that all parents and carers who are able to contribute will do so. Next, sustainability. We really do want a scheme that will be sustainable for the school in the light of tough budgets in the years ahead, so we can continue with the outstanding teaching and learning that pupils experience in our school. Finally, affordability. We want the monthly contribution to be as low as possible. Investing in this project will mean that your son or daughter can use the same mobile technology at school as at home, with access to the same resources. It's worth stressing that the college will make no profit from the parental contributions. You can see here some key details of the scheme. I've put year 6 at the top there in pink to remind myself to say to you that because we have year 7s who are entering into a similar scheme but with slightly different details, in each of the kind of published details that we'll put will describe the model that your child will enter into as the year 6 scheme, despite the fact they'll be moving into year 7 at the start of September. So this is it's a lease model. And the monthly contributions will be no more than £11 over 36 months. It's important to realise that these monthly contributions is for the whole package here. So the iPad, the thing that you see there, is obviously the kind of big part of the scheme. However, the insurance, the management and the maintenance are just as important. So the iPad itself will be the latest model, will be the 8th generation, and it will come with a case and a screen protector to keep it in good condition. A really key feature of the scheme is the insurance. So this covers accidental damage, for example, broken screens, and it also covers theft. We expect pupils to look after the device to meet the requirements of this insurance. This means always keeping it in a case and transporting it in a suitable school bag. The insurance, it's important to realise, does not cover accidental loss. So if your child left their iPad on a park bench, it would not be covered. So it's really important that they take good care of it. So in terms of apps, over lockdown, our teachers, as Mrs. Lawrence has said, became really expert users of Microsoft Office and especially things like Teams and OneNote. The device is very carefully managed to only allow certain approved educational apps to be installed on the iPad. Now you can see at the end there, at the end of the 36 monthly, so at the end of the 3 years period, there's the option to purchase the device at a fair market price. So in terms of frequently asked questions, I've drawn these from the sort of questions that parents in year 7 and year 8 have asked, because they're a little bit further ahead with this. But also, if there's any questions that come into the Q&A right now, I'll do my best to answer those live as we go along. The single most common question that's come up is, can my child bring in their own existing iPad or other device, or can I go to a shop and buy an iPad to use in the scheme? Well, I'd say our watchword here really is equality and compatibility. For this scheme to be successful, it's really essential that we have a consistent device across all pupils. We also need to keep pupils safe and ensure that they're using their iPad appropriately. And so to do this, we install management software, and this essentially takes over the iPad in its entirety. And it is not possible to do this on devices that are provided from home or other forms of devices other than this particular iPad. And so it really must be one that's provided through this lease scheme. In terms of financial support, so pupils who receive free school meals will have an iPad provided by the college and no parental contribution will be necessary. No pupil will be excluded from the scheme because of financial circumstances, so please do talk to us so that we can ensure that your son or daughter is included. The college has been able to secure some funding to allow us to offer financial assistance to families who are experiencing financial difficulties. Next up, a question about screen time. Will my child be sat in front of a screen all day? I'd say here, absolutely not. As passionate as we are about the opportunities that iPads offer, we're also keen to ensure that other very important traditional skills, the sort of things that Mr. Law mentioned earlier, writing, sketching, group discussions, continue. The role of iPads is to enhance and extend learning opportunities rather than replace those that are currently being used. Pupils won't be allowed to use iPads at break and lunch, and they'll continue to eat and socialise just as they would do in the college right now. In terms of handwriting, well, pupils will still be expected to handwrite work in most subjects, and for the foreseeable future, we would expect that most public examinations will be handwritten. However, there are very many benefits to producing work digitally, especially in terms of sharing between pupils and sharing with the teacher, and we really want to take advantage of these to ensure that your child receives an outstanding education fit for the 21st century. In terms of next steps, so as I've said, the scheme really can't go ahead without parental support. So our next step is to ask for you to indicate your commitment to the scheme by completing an online form, and we'll circulate this to you by email. So if you could please complete this online form for us by Monday the 24th of May. We've tried to answer as many possible questions as we can, so mostly things that have come from the Year 7s and the Year 8s, and so you'll see that on the link there, and we'll publish that in the Q&A in just a moment. So the online form will be circulated by email, and we'd ask for you to complete it by Monday the 24th of May. Just having a quick look at the questions that have come in. So iPads that will be provided, they are Wi-Fi only, so they're 8th generation Wi-Fi only models. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I can help reply to. Those are the only ones that I can see just for the moment. We'll answer the other questions directly. So it just remains for me to say thank you very much for listening. We're very much looking forward to welcoming your child who's currently in Year 6 into Year 7 at Comberton Village College from September 2021. We will leave this live event open for the next few minutes so that if you do have any questions we've not answered live, we'll be able to answer you by text. So thanks for listening.